Welcome to the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. My name is Rita Perez. Hello. I've been a travel advisor for over 10 years and am navigating this winding road of entrepreneurship with you. I created this podcast because I wanted to share all the things I've learned from leaders both in and out of our industry that I really wish I would have known way back then. But alas, the important thing is I'm aware of them now, and I want you to be too. Ready for this week's show? Let's jump in. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. So excited to get into today's topic, and especially with today's special guest, because we have been talking back and forth on Instagram for, I don't know, maybe almost a year now about lots of things that have to do with this topic. So breaking travel business rules, but also the individualness and the uniqueness that each of us has in our own travel business. And so welcome, Christy. If you don't know who Christy is, she is also the host of the Travel Geniuses podcast. And if you haven't checked out our insights there, I highly recommend it. But hello, Christy.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm trying to even remember because I met you, and I say that with like my fingers in the air, met you because you did the host agency reviews. You participated in how to start your own podcast for your travel business. But I think I even heard about your podcast before then. So I feel like you've been in my world for a little bit, but it wasn't until recently where we both have started speaking up about the old way of doing business and how that just like grinds our gears. So we've really gotten to commiserate, I guess, together on everything.
Vent to each other.
Yeah. So before what is your background in the travel industry? Because I know you are a travel business owner too.
Yes. I started as a home-based agent, which I don't even think people say that anymore, but back in was it 2001 or 2002? It was right after 9/11.
Okay.
And my kids were young. I was I had twins when I was 17. So I was a very young mom. And I don't even know where I got the idea. I decided I wanted to be a travel agent someday and had written to all these travel schools to get information and got VHS tapes from them. That's how long ago it was. And kind of held on to them until I was waiting for my kids to be in school. And then 9/11 happened and they all closed. But there was a book at the library that talked about host agencies. And I looked it up online and there was one near my house. So I just signed up. I literally knew nothing about the travel industry and just kind of taught myself how to do it. And back then it was if you were not working in a brick and mortar agency, you were looked down upon. So we tried to just we knew who each other were at trade events. But we tried not to bring up where we worked or what agency we worked with, because other people really did not respect agents who work from home. And now pretty much everybody works from home. So
that is interesting. I didn't know. It almost sounds like a underground, we're here, but we're not here.
Yes. Yeah, it was very, we were not respected at all if we worked from home. So.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad that has broken through.
So changed. Yes.
Right. And who was I talking to recently about something about the evolution? And if you're not, it was at my Rotary meeting actually last night, that if you are not keeping up with the times, because Rotary chapters are evolving, becoming more younger, more vibrant. And if you're not evolving with the times, you're just going to be left behind on everything, which kind of like perfectly transcends into this conversation.
Yes.
Well, we're starting really to talk off that each travel business owner and each travel business is very unique. So when they're hearing things like you need to make this much money or you need to have this marketing strategy, it's kind of like, but do you? And the reason that I wanted to get into this is because we both have health stuff that we deal with that we cannot be typical business owners. I have my autoimmune disease. I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And then you recently got diagnosed with
ADHD.
Yes. which we keep talking about how I feel like I'm undiagnosed ADHD.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of people who are undiagnosed, especially women. There are boys who are males who have what's called, now I lost the word, inattentive ADHD versus the hyperactive. And it just isn't noticed. You're quiet and you get distracted. And I think probably on every report card since second grade, a teacher wrote some form of isn't living up to her potential. So it's those kinds of people. And because we weren't hyper and crazy, they just thought we were lazy or not wanting to do the work. So I think, I don't know if it's a combination of the internet making people more aware of it and maybe something to do with COVID, I think too. And like being stuck at home and everything changing, I think has exacerbated some people's symptoms too, but.
Right. And that is another thing that I have been thinking about is hard work. Cause I think that's another thing that's kind of breaking down. Like, why does work have to be hard? And why do we have to be hustling all the time?
Yep.
And it kind of like comes in, like you said, lazy. And I'm like, that is a key phrase that a lot of people use for my condition. So I have Hashimoto's, but I also have hypothyroidism, which means your body works a little bit more slower. You get more fatigued quicker, depending on where your symptoms are ranging. And so, I used to think that I was a very lazy person, but it's really my condition. And also, really, is it me being a lazy person, or am I working to the capacity that my body is letting me work right now?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that was frustrating for me, and why when I found out I had ADHD, a lot of people talk about how they went through this mourning period when they found out. Really? I can't really relate to that, because for me, it was like one of the best things that's ever happened to me. It was so freeing because I did call myself lazy. Like that was a story that I had because I couldn't, it's like, so I don't like, I'm not trying to bash Gary Vaynerchuk, but he's like the big one that's like, stay up till 2 a.m, get up at 6 a.m, come home, spend an hour with your wife and kids, and go back to work. And he has that, I don't know if you've heard it because it was a long time ago, but he was like, stop watching effing Lost. Like Lost was this big, everybody was obsessed with it. And he's basically saying like, if you're watching TV, that's why your business isn't successful. And I can't do that. I cannot. I haven't even worked those types of hours, but I have gotten myself worked so hard and too much that I've gotten physically ill, like fevers. And for 2 years, I couldn't figure out what was wrong, because I would get like a really bad, what felt like the flu, fever, everything. I'd be sick for 3 weeks, start to feel a little better, and then it would start all over again. And finally I figured out, I'm just overworking myself. Right. So it's like, I know I'm not lazy because I was working so like harder than I should have been. But it still feels like it because I can't do what I see other people doing.
Right.
So there's that part of it where sometimes you just physically or mentally can't do it. But I also think, why should we have to? Like, I think there's this desire in people, or this, like, people are just fed up with, like, I don't want to work to live or live to work.
Right.
Like, my work should supplement my life. I still deserve to have a life I enjoy. Right. So I think it's just, some people are just fed up with it. Like, I want to live my life and I want to love my life.
Right. Right. And why, like, wearing it with the badge of honor? Like, I worked 18 hours. I remember I used to work in the theme park industry, and during the summer times, we would probably work 15, 16-hour days. And it was like, look how hard I worked. I worked 15, 16-hour days. But looking back, it's like, that's not cool. That means like you didn't have a life. I didn't really get a break. I was exhausted.
Yep. Yeah. It's not a friend of mine, Ralph Iantosca. I need to have him on the show sometime, because I've heard other people talk about him too. I'm like, I know him, but he changed his business model when COVID hit, and he just decided like, I deserve to love my life and to love my work too. So he just decided how many hours he was willing to work a year, like mapped out his time off and everything, and how many hours he wanted to work a week, and how many clients he would need to work with, and how much he needed to charge them. And if, as far as fees go, now he does one thing that frustrates me about this industry is people be like, well, I did this, without giving the backstory. Like, he does have really high-end clientele already. He's built that business up. So the amount that he's charging, like, not everybody can do that out the gate. You can definitely build up to that. But yeah, we deserve a life that we love too. Well, I don't remember what I wrote this manifesto a couple weeks ago, and I've been too scared to put it out. Like, I just got so fed up one night at how travel agents are treated and the lack of respect we get in this industry, and also from ourselves as well. Travel agents sometimes don't want to charge fees, or they want to take every client, even if it's like a cruise booking that they're going to make $50 on. And I think part of that is you're thinking about the time to actually book it, but not the time to manage it, like months or a year down the road. But yes, everybody deserves an amazing vacation. And yes, everybody deserves the value that a travel agent can bring to them. But that doesn't mean that everybody can have that. Like, I deserve to have a really nice, unprocessed meal full of chopped vegetables, and like, I don't want to do that work. So that doesn't mean that a private chef should give up their time and cook for me if I can't afford what their time is worth, like, I think that we have a huge, that we don't see our value. Yeah. I don't think the industry doesn't respect us, but I think travel agents don't respect themselves either a lot of times. And maybe if I could change one thing, that would be it. Like, you have value, even if you're brand new. I've heard people say that new agents shouldn't charge a fee, and I think that's ridiculous. If you don't charge a fee, first of all, it makes it harder to charge it later on. But even if all you're doing is like calling and making the reservation, that's still of value to somebody. So you don't need to charge $500 out the gate, but your time is worth something. And if we're telling agents, you don't have to charge a fee when you're first starting, we're telling them you don't have value yet. And then for most of us, it's hard to feel like we ever have that value. Like, that's a goal we really struggle to get to. So
you're still performing a service regardless of how much experience you have in the industry, because you still have either your personal experience or you have done some sort of education to get into the business.
And you also have your contacts too. So if you're booking travel, you have at the very least a host agency. And most, I would assume, have like a way for you to interact with other agents. There are Facebook groups of agents. There are like your consortia. And so you have access to suppliers and other agents that can maybe help you. That you have access to their knowledge as well. So, yeah.
No. And then that commission is the only way that we can make money, and that fees are the only way that we can make money. I was having a conversation with Sahara Rose Devore of the Travel Coach Network, and that opened me up to a world of other possibilities. And I honestly will say I was a little bit skeptical, but when we got off the conversation, she was telling me that her program is ICF accredited, International Coaching Federation accredited. And I was like, okay, you just like up the stakes, because it's not even just coaching other travelers, but it's coaching other businesses. And so there's just, and digital product. We haven't even like gotten into that, digital products. How can we use like what you have in your brain? You spent time and you spent money to acquire that. So how can you monetize that for your business so that you're also not on that hamster wheel of having to work those 18 hours that you might feel committed that you have to accomplish?
Yep. Yeah. There are, I think, that's where conversations like we're having right now will come into play too. Like
Mhm.
it's hard sometimes because most traditional like business training that you'll see online is geared towards marketers teaching marketers to marketers, or people with more educational type businesses. So it's
Yes.
hard to sometimes translate that to what a travel agent does because we're not in the education. So actually, I did an episode on the podcast about like the freebie or whatever that you give when somebody signs up to your email list.
Mhm.
And I had used some things that you had talked about on one of your episodes too, as an example, because most people will tell you, oh, like create a checklist or an ebook, or for travel agents, they'll say, give a sample itinerary or like a top 10. No, you can find all that online everywhere for free. Nobody wants your 10 best hotels for families. Nobody wants your sample itinerary because how does that help somebody?
Right.
But your idea of like creating it was like a challenge or something for group leaders to help them see that they can attract interest in this and come up with a plan of what they're going to offer in their trip, that as a value add. So it sets them up to like, it gives them the first step, the information and the knowledge and the
it leaves them wanting more. It kind of tells them the what, and then they're like, well, how do I do this now that I have this idea?
It gives them the confidence they need. Like those are things that they need before they can work with you, before they think they can work with you. So yeah, it gives them all the stuff that they need before they work for you. So for travel agents, you can't just follow some online marketer and do exactly what they say. You have to really think about how can I translate this to my business? So if you want to do a membership or some sort of course or something, it's possible. You just have to really think creatively, and it's going to take people talking together and sharing ideas to come up with those ideas, because it's not something you can just throw together and copy what other online marketers are doing.
Right. And that's kind of like going into two other topics, is that things have to be expensive, like courses or coaching consulting has to be expensive, being a myth. And oh no, I'm gonna lose my train of thought also. That you have to like go into debt for doing this, and that you have to be learning all the time. But then when are you actually going to be doing all the things to actually make you money? Because that's, I mean, you got into business for other reasons than just to make money. But if you are not making money, and in fact, you're actually spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars, like what was the point of it? Now, you know, have all this knowledge and you haven't done anything with it. And so I've gotten stuck in that.
Yes. I have two. Oh gosh, I've spent, my husband's in the room, so I'm not going to say it out loud, but more money than I care to admit on courses and stuff, because I was looking for the thing that was going to fix, turns out, my brain, when really I know everything I need to know. Honestly, I think so. Don't let me forget to get back to the like investing in your business part. But so I said confident, like if I could just make travel agents feel confident and see the value in what they do, like that would be one thing. But I also think what we need is not more education or more tools. What we need is the confidence to just trust ourselves and do like that. Just brings us back to the whole, like, you can make your business whatever you want, and just trust that, you know. I struggle with this. This is not me saying I have this all figured out. And this is me talking to myself too, just like trusting what I say and what I want to share. Like I mentioned, I wrote this manifesto and I really wanted to like put it, I honestly, and I'm going to do this when we're done with this call. I wanted to just delete everything on my homepage, on my website, and just have that there. Because I just feel so strongly about it. But then I think I start to second guess my instincts. I start to second guess my thoughts and ideas. I worry about what other people are going to think. Like, because it is very I don't know. I don't have the answers. I don't know how to make it work. I know what I want it to look like.
Right.
And I think if we all work together, we can totally transform what it means to be a travel agent and turn it into something that is highly respected and that is valued. So my point is just that, like, I think other people are like that too. There are probably travel agents out there. I know there are who have crazy ideas that they really want to try, but they just don't trust that people want what they have to offer or that they know what they're talking about. And I think if it all just comes down to confidence. I think that's
right.
So the podcast thing, all the information you need is out there. You can Google how to do things. And yes, there are some times when I started my podcast, I bought a course from Pat Flynn, but it was literally like, here are the steps to do it. Here's the software to get. So I saved myself all that time and research trying to do it. But I have bought so many programs for things that I wasn't ready for,
right,
or things that were like fluffy with
objects.
Things that I didn't necessarily need at the time, or that just sold ideas, but no practical. So my point is that you don't need more education. You know it all. And sometimes once you know what you want to do, then you can go out and find that specific tool or education that you need. But I think too many agents, they don't trust themselves. And so they're looking for, like, I don't know, just some magic pill that's going to make it all click for them. And really, it just comes down to confidence and trust.
Well, and I feel like it's also part, like, people like us, they are good marketers and they are really good at what they're doing and selling you on the dream and the transformation of, do enough people know that your business even exists? If you're not meeting your yearly income goals, then probably not. You need more clients, which means you need more prospects, and you can't get those unless you're meeting them where they are. If you're doing things like sending weekly emails and posting to social media, you have put the horse ahead of the cart. So let's put the horse back where it belongs and find opportunities to increase the number of eyeballs on your business by joining the Visibility Collaborative. Search for visibility opportunities, track your efforts, and troubleshoot in community. Head on over to the show notes to learn more and get ready to turn your new prospects into profits. Whatever it is, the major problems in the travel business, either you don't have enough clients or you have too many clients and your business operations are down the tank because you haven't properly set up your business.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people that are out there that want to be like, I can help you fix all of that. And that is just unethical in my point of view, that, like, if I need to find clients, I need to go to someone who specializes in client attraction or visibility. If I need to go to a systems person, I'm going to talk to an online business manager, or I'm going to talk to an operations specialist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to talk to a general business coach about those specific pain points.
Yep. And you have to know yourself and what you need and what will work for you. Like, I follow somebody who, like, I love following her on Instagram. I honestly should probably stop because I'm always tempted to buy her program. But it's all about webinars. And I would rather go get a job at a corporate office than have to do live webinars and do like a hardcore sales pitch at the end. And like, it works for some people. It is not going to work for me. And every time it's like so tempting because she's talking about how it works. And I'm like, oh, but wait, no, that won't work for me. And it's not what I want to do. So yeah, I get frustrated with people who sell their program as the thing that will work for everybody, when it won't. And honestly, that's on us to be self-aware enough to know.
Right.
They just sell it as an easy fix. Like, if you just do these webinars and then you think, oh, that'll be so easy. For some people it will be, but yeah. And then I think another pet peeve of mine is people who market things to travel agents that aren't really beneficial for travel agents. Like, I don't know. Did they like see something that works? They take like some big name marketer's program and kind of copy it and say, I'm going to sell this for travel agents. And it doesn't translate. It's like, you have to really, this is not the same as those businesses. So you really have to think about, how will this translate for my business? Like, well, it's hard. It's hard as somebody who's obsessed with travel
Yes.
to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who just wants a family vacation. And like, sure, maybe you're interested in an ebook about whatever it is, but is like the mom who just wants a no hassle vacation going to be interested in that?
Right. Right. Well, even the thought of the webinar. So if I was interested, I'm like, yes, that's how I'm going to get so many clients. Well, who are you inviting to this webinar if you don't have any clients on your list?
Yes.
How are you meeting people? And that's actually, I've created a tool, like spoiler alert, I've created a calculator that's going to help you with that. But there's too many people that are talking about things as if you already have a lot of clients and you already have a lot of referral partners in your network. But that's one of the first problems. Like, aside from doing all the foundational work to get your business up and running, the next thing you do is to get clients and keep getting clients and keep meeting new people. But nobody talks about that. Yeah. And I feel like it's probably because they haven't figured out how to monetize talking about that. So I'm going to talk about the webinar instead, or the email marketing, or the social media, which are all really great nurture strategies. And also, kind of going on with that, you don't have to do all those things. Pick one of those things and be really great at it, or hire someone to be really great at it for you.
Yep. Yeah. I call it get attention and keep attention marketing. And nobody really talks about the get attention. Like, you can send out newsletters all you want, but you had to find a way to get people on your email list.
Right.
So you need to get in front of people first and get attention.
One of my pet peeves, because I know at the top of the marketing funnel is attract. And that's why I created like my Mining for Gemstones framework, where I switch attract to search, because I feel like with attract, you're kind of like waiting. Okay. They just need to be attracted to me and they'll come. And I'm like, no, you have to go find them. Go into the cave, wherever the cave is, if it's a networking event, a wine event, a golf tournament, go find people and talk to the people. You have to have a conversation.
Yep. Yeah. Nobody wants to do that. That's too much work. They'd rather buy a course about posting to Instagram.
I think it also has a lot to do with what you were saying with confidence.
Yes.
And I was listening to a different podcast on being visible to people is scary. And it is. Like, I think fear of success and fear of failure kind of come into play when we're talking about confidence. And I think there's a bit of, you need to be bold in order to do it, but you have to care, or you have to remove a little bit of the care, like just do you. And if you're going to fail, then you're going to fail, but that's going to teach you what to do next time. And it's going to help you course correct for the next time, but you just have to do something.
Yes. It's very hard. That is something I struggle with.
Yeah.
I can look back to my childhood and see where I have a very long history of, like, I don't like to do something if I can't do it perfectly or close to perfectly the first time. So yeah, that's very, very hard for me to do, but you're right. You're not going to, like, some things you just can't learn by reading a book and watching YouTube videos. You have to actually do it. And that's when you learn, what worked and what didn't. And I'm actually working with a coach right now, and she is talking to me a lot about just doing experiments. Like, just think of it as an experiment. And that, for some reason, I had this workflow program I wanted to do, and it's really big and overwhelming. And I just didn't know. I felt like, I don't know, I have these ideas of what a professional does and how they behave, and going into something and not really knowing how it's going to work is not part of my definition of that. So I was really not wanting to even launch it or talk about it until I knew exactly how it was all going to work, which that doesn't work. So I'm calling it the workflow experiment.
Mhm.
Specifically, like I'm big into words, and sometimes just changing the word you use changes the meaning and the pressure in your head. So just calling it the workflow experiment, that sets the expectation for me and anybody joining me to do that,
I love
that this
that.
is an experiment. I'm not coming to you as somebody who knows everything and has this all figured out. We're
Mhm.
just going to experiment with some things and see what happens. So, yeah, I think sometimes for people struggling with that, if you just find the way to trick your brain into
Mhm.
not putting so much pressure on it, it helps to, uh, it helps you just try and let it flop. But then you're one step closer to the thing that is going to work for you.
Right. Well, and that's why I love using, especially in my support business, the term fun,
Mm-hmm.
because your business can be fun. It doesn't
Yes.
all have to be like, okay, I'm crunching numbers, putting this itinerary together, spreadsheets, documents, this, and that. Like, why can you not just have fun?
Yeah.
I mean, those are all necessary, but you can also have fun and you can make it fun.
Yes. For some people, that is fun.
Yeah, this
Not
is
me.
true.
I don't like spreadsheets at all. So, but yes, that is something I'm trying. It's so hard because we have all these ideas of what business is supposed to be like ingrained in our head. And it's
Right.
very hard to let go of those. And, like that's, like my deepest, not my, I have a lot of deep hopes for the travel industry. So another one is that we will just get rid of all those ideas and stories we've been told about what you're supposed to do if you're a travel agent and what that looks like.
Right.
And you literally can make it anything you want. And if you're not going to enjoy it, what's the point? Like I finally, I just like I had a bout of depression recently, and like it's something I'm fine, but it's something I've struggled with on and off my whole life. And I just came out of it, and now I'm like, life is too short to do things I don't enjoy. If I'm going to not enjoy what I'm doing in my business, like first of all, business, it is hard. Like it's scary. You're trying new things. It's not the easiest thing in the world. It would be much easier to just get a 9-to-5 job and
Right.
let somebody pay me and let them worry about the health of the business. So if I'm not going to enjoy something, I might as well do it the easy way.
Right.
I'm not doing things anymore. Well, I'm trying to not do things that I don't really enjoy and that don't feel good to me. And if I don't like it, I still like I fall into those traps and I'm doing something and I'm hating it. And then at some point I will realize it. And I think, okay, what can I do different? How can I do this in a way that feels better to me? Like one of my big things for travel agents is like, you don't have to answer the phone. You can not even put your phone number on your website.
Yes.
And if people don't like that, that is fine. They can find a travel agent who likes being on the phone
Right.
and likes those surprise phone calls.
Right.
I struggle a lot with email for some reason. I have not figured it out, but I cannot quickly respond to an email for the life of me.
Okay.
So I now have it's very long auto responder. And I mentioned in there, like, it's going to be 48 hours probably before I get back to you. I'm not promising right away response to your email. So yeah, I think it's just like looking at how you like to work and what you need and doing that.
And even normalizing collaborating with other travel pros in the industry. The whole, like, I have gotten to a point where, I mean, I was approached from someone to do a Europe FIT. That does not excite me, but I know somebody in my network who that does excite. So I filtered that out. Like I have finally gotten to the headspace, I think, that I'm okay with not, and I think I also had to learn this from other people reciprocating that with me and filtering things that I love to do to me. So I'm one of the crazy people that do like to do Disney stuff because I used to work at Disney. I'm an Orlando girl. I love going to the parks. Same thing with California. So, but I have a friend who specializes in Scotland who that is like nails on a chalkboard. So she recently filtered that to me. So same thing, like if I know somebody who's interested in going to Scotland, well, my friend so-and-so is really great at this. But I feel like, especially in the beginning, we need to like keep it and hoard everything to our own businesses. But I think like that's part of what can make our industry stronger is if we collaborate. I mean, that's what happens in the online business space all the time. You see like website designers being like, okay, and you can work with this copywriter because website designers don't write copy.
Yep. Yeah. I think a lot of it is like a scarcity mindset, which is a very woo-woo term, but like you just think there's not going to be enough if you don't take everything that comes your way. And I saw a discussion recently on Facebook where somebody was saying they had this booking and they made like $50, but it was whatever. It was like way too much work. And then there's always a few agents who will chime in and say, oh, but one time I took one of those bookings and then 5 years later, they booked this huge trip. Well, like that, first of all, it's 1 in a million and
it's not guaranteed.
Yeah. And those are rare. So when you're taking these bookings, you're not making any money. You're working too hard. You're not freeing up your time for the bookings that you do want to take and that are profitable. There's a book, it's an older book. Literally have it right here on my desk. Book Yourself Solid. And he talks about the red velvet rope. And one of the things I remember from that book is like being very selective about who you take as your clients. And you're not doing just yourself a disservice when you take a client who's not a good fit. You're doing them a disservice too. If that's not something that you find joy in and that even if you've never done it before, like I'm not saying you can only take things you have a lot of experience in, but if you don't enjoy it, you're not giving them the experience of a travel agent who's really on fire about what they're doing for you. Or who even likes you sometimes. If you take those clients that are just a pain, help them find somebody that will be able to. You do better when you're excited about something and when you enjoy something. So let them find somebody who will enjoy it. So yeah, it's just doing everybody a disservice. And when we don't do a good job, it affects the whole industry too. Like we all have a stake in each other being the best we can be, because you hear story not every time, but very often when I see a discussion somewhere of, should I use a travel agent? There's a lot of people in there who, I used a travel agent once. It was terrible. This is like, they did all, whatever. I'll never use one again. Those stories get around. And it just hurts all of us. It makes people not want to work with a travel agent.
Right.
The better we all are, the better our reputation will be out in the world.
Right. And I think that kind of circles back to the fee discussion that we were having and charging for our services. Because immediately when you have been talking about that, I always use the example of the plumber. The plumber is going to charge you $100 an hour, regardless if they're there for 15 minutes or the whole hour. Yeah. So why are we not? They're fixing a problem like my overflowing toilet or my sink is clogged or whatever. It doesn't matter how long it takes them to do. Here's the $100. Just fix it for me. And you're not. We've all heard this before. You're not paying for the time it takes him. You're you're paying for the education, his or her education, what they know. Like I could find some YouTube videos. I don't even try. I do a lot of stuff, but I will not do plumbing because I'm not strong enough to tighten it and everything leaks. But you're paying for all that knowledge and experience and you not having to do it. So yeah, that's why I will maintain even brand new agents should be paying for their time. And if you want to discount it a little bit, like when I'm not, it should be at least $100. Like I'm not talking a $25 fee. So if your plan is to eventually charge $500, you can put $500 on your invoice and put like a early adopter discount or something like that on there. So then that sets the expectation that it's not going to be this cheap forever or Right. And I've adopted something that another advisor had put out there. His name's Dave Natal. And he does something where if it's going to take me up to 30 minutes, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll do that complimentary. If it's going to take more than 30 minutes, then you're going to get my unlimited service. And this is how much it starts at. And so
does he do that for existing clients or new clients too?
Everybody. So okay. I have started to do that also because I have a lot of friends, because I'm primarily a cruise booker. A lot of friends just want me to book the cruise and they'll take care of all the details and all that. They just want to support my business in some way, which I'm appreciative for that.
Yeah.
But I have started, and I'll even put it on my invoices now. You're either going to get my wave level service, which is the complimentary, and it kind of outlines, it says you get up to 30 minutes of my time. And I'll also put in the discussion, like if you need anything else, you probably need to bump up to my star level service.
Yeah, that's actually really good because I see a lot of, it depends. Because I've had conflicting feelings. I see a lot of agents saying like, I never charge for a hotel booking. And one of the consortia actually was pushing this maybe 10 years ago. Because people will think, oh, I'm just booking a hotel for the weekend. I don't want to bother my travel agent. And if they're high-end hotels, like that's a pretty good commission you're missing out of, but you still have this, like the service you're providing after the actual booking is made. Right. Yeah. So I think that's interesting. It's definitely an option. Yeah. But right, well, like everybody can do their own.
Right. That's the beauty is that, if you don't like my model, you don't have to use it.
Yeah.
Because like anything that I take on that is FIT, that's automatically a fee.
Yes.
Like I'm not working on that without putting it. Cause I've gotten a lot of this was just getting so burned in the past that I'm like not doing that anymore. But it took a lot of time to be comfortable. And I remember because I've only been charged like dead on charging fees since last year.
Yeah.
And every time the fee conversation comes up, it gets a lot easier. So I do like my consult. And then at the end, I'm like, okay, well, this is how I work. I charge this. And I kind of like let the decision go in their court from there, whether or not they want to work with me. And I don't take it very personally anymore when they don't want to, because I see it as you've just freed up my time.
Yes.
You've just given me my time back.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There's no need to try to convince people to work with you who don't value what you do.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm going to have to think about it. That's a very interesting way to do, like still get those easy bookings without committing to all the follow-up. And like, if they cancel or whatever happens, like you're not on the hook for rebooking that and managing that. So yeah, I like that.
Thanks for joining me on the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. Please subscribe and leave the show a rating on your favorite podcast platform. Oh, and don't forget to take a look at the show notes for important information and links. See you next week.